Welcome to BusinessVille. Your go-to source for all things business and economics. In today's episode, we'll be discussing the state of Venezuela's oil exports and the impact of U.S. sanctions and competition in its key Asian market. With the assistance of ally Iran, will Venezuela be able to bounce back and regain its position as a major oil exporting nation? How will the recent relaxation of oil sanctions by the United States affect the country's exports? Let's dive in and find out. Decline in exports. Venezuela's oil exports last year were hit hard by a variety of factors, including infrastructure outages, U.S. sanctions, and rising competition in its key Asian market. Despite assistance from ally Iran, which sent supplies to boost exports and technicians to repair a refinery, Venezuela's oil exports slipped below previous years. According to shipping data and documents, PDVSA and its joint ventures exported some 616,540 barrels per day of crude and refined products last year, a 2.5% drop from 2021 and slightly below 2020. Impact of U.S. sanctions. Venezuela has been under U.S. oil sanctions since 2019, and these sanctions have had a significant impact on the country's ability to export oil. In 2022, shipments of crude and refined products by the OPEC member nation fell by 2.5% even amid higher production, as outages and more competition at export markets hit state company PDVSA. Francisco Monaldi, a Latin American energy expert at Rice University's Baker Institute, stated that despite the increased Iranian help, the decline in net exports results from a combination of production stagnation and the increasing competition of Russian exports in the Chinese black market. Refining shortfalls. Venezuela's oil exports were also hampered by refining shortages due to plant outages and delayed maintenance. PDVSA's refineries began the new year processing 386,000 barrels per day of crude, less than 30% of their 1.3 million barrels per day installed capacity. This left the domestic fuel market with long lines of drivers waiting for gasoline in front of stations. Even though Venezuela tripled oil imports to 78,170 barrels per day, mainly from deliveries of crude and condensate from Iran. Production and output. Venezuela's crude production averaged some 721,000 barrels per day, according to a preliminary data for December had OPEC reports. Output rose 13% from the previous year and stood above pandemic levels, but it remained well below historic averages and fell short of PDVSA 2022 goal of 2 million barrels per day. Even after bouncing to more than 700,000 barrels per day in 2022, the South American nation is far away from reaching the 3 million barrels per day of crude it last produced in 1998. Outlook for exports. Despite the challenges, there may be hope for Venezuela's oil exports in the future. The United States recently relaxed oil sanctions by authorizing some partners of state-run firm Petróleos de Venezuela, PDVSA, to resume taking Venezuelan crude. This could give a boost to exports this year. Additionally, crude oil output is set to increase by about 100,000 barrels per day this year, according to Baker's Monaldi. He also stated that exports could recover a little more if the joint ventures can drain millions of barrels in inventories, and if PDVSA is able to compete more aggressively in Asia. Venezuela's oil exports last year were affected by a combination of factors, including infrastructure outages, U.S. sanctions, and rising competition in its key Asian market. Despite assistance from ally Iran, the country's exports slipped below previous years. However, with the recent relaxation of oil sanctions by the United States and an increase in crude oil output, there may be hope for Venezuela's oil exports in the future. Will the United States relax sanctions and increased output be enough for Venezuela to regain its position as a major oil exporting nation? Will PDVSA be able to compete more aggressively in Asia and boost exports? Only time will tell, but one thing is for sure, Venezuela's oil industry will continue to be closely watched by experts and investors alike. Thank you for watching BusinessVille. We hope you found this episode informative and insightful. If you have any questions or suggestions for future episodes, please leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more business and economics related content. See you next time.